Good afternoon. You're watching AB Live, a brand new news-based chat show in which we discuss topics ranging from news, business, politics, and so much more. On today's episode, we will be discussing the GCC's automotive sector, and with me in the studio, we have Oweis Zahran. Thank you so much for joining us, Oweis.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right, so Oweis, well, you are dealing with a number of companies, a number of firms right now. So let's start with Rapid Automotive Solutions. Can you tell us more about that?
So Rapid Automotive Solutions is a joint venture company based in Sharjah, specializing in a few different automotive sectors, including quick service, vehicle registration, a really unique accident response service, and so much more. Our latest addition to Rapid is actually the accident response service, where victims of minor accidents can report the accident through a mobile application that was recently launched a few months ago, and complete the process from start to finish within 3 to 5 minutes, versus the very old-fashioned way of calling the police, waiting for the police to arrive, survey the accident, your fault, my fault.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot simpler.
Okay, right. So just from the few seconds that you've spoken to me, I've realized that you've dipped your feet in a number of different spheres, essentially, of the automotive sector. So can I ask you about the state of the GCC's automotive sector as of today? Very generic.
Well, I think that's a very broad question, and there's a couple of elements to it. Me being an automotive expert, if you may, the way I look at it as, for some it's a blessing, for some it's a curse. If you're on the new car sales side of it, you're suffering. And when I say suffering, you know, the market is suffering a 50 to 60% deficit in comparison to the last few years on new car sales.
Right.
That being said, the guys on the other side of it who do spare parts and maintenance for used cars, business increased 50 to 60% because end users are no longer buying new cars, they're holding on to their cars longer.
Right.
Which means you're going to spend more money on spare parts, you're going to spend more money on service, on renewal, on registration. So it depends on which side of it you're on. Fortunately, I'm on the second side, so I get to benefit from the market condition.
Right. So you would say that right now the used car sector is probably the more lucrative business venture?
100%.
All right, great. So you also do remanufactured parts, etc. So tell us more about that and how that industry is doing right now.
So via our platform, Oweis Auto Parts, we pioneered remanufactured spare parts in the Middle East, and today we operate in 6 GCC countries with the savings rate alone being literally 55% of whatever you would buy on a OEM spare part, OEM as an original equipment manufacturer. That being said, it's not just spare parts savings or cost savings on these spare parts, but it's also the genuine aspect of it, because in today's spare parts market, one would think, okay, I'm either going to buy a brand new spare part from the dealership, or I'm going to buy something aftermarket from Southeast Asia somewhere. Well, no, that's not exactly the case, because via our concept of remanufacturing, you can enjoy your genuine spare part from your vehicle via our service called R&R, remanufacture and return. So I would take your AC compressor, for example, remanufacture it for you, give it back to you with sometimes a lifetime warranty on that part for 50 to 60% of the cost of what it would be new. So once we introduced that a few years ago in the region, the end users went crazy, and now Oweis is a brand that I can proudly say is spoken of in the same breath as some of the pioneers of the automotive industry in the region that have been here for decades.
Interesting. So basically it's cost efficient and it's also environment friendly. So is that why you would say you sort of partnered with the Sharjah government then? I
would definitely say that's been the point of interest to Sharjah government and other governments in the region, because it's very environmental friendly, it's cost efficient, it's very transparent. transparent. It's in line with the region's vision. The region is always, especially Dubai and the UAE as a whole, is always looking to see how they can be at the forefront of this evolving world we live in. And remanufacturing is, I think, the core of what we're talking about.
All right, interesting. So what is it that you actually do with Sharjah government?
So with Sharjah government, via Rapid Automotive Solutions, we are doing 5 different businesses. One being quick service for the public, so very similar to what you would see in the gas stations, where it's a certain quality that you would go to expect. You would also expect to pay a certain price that isn't dealer level pricing, but it's not the lowest either.
Okay. So that's like a workshop then?
It's workshop, quick service workshops for your average 3 to 5 year old car.
All right.
We also do the accident response service that I spoke of. We do fleet maintenance for all the government fleets and as well private fleets like Oweis Zahran and other major brands. The 5th venture is going to be launched in 3 days on May 15th, which is going to be roadside assistance, very similar to AAA or any other major roadside assistance brand one may have been familiar with in the West. We're finally bringing that concept here where everyone would be able to, whether you break down, you ran out of fuel or you have a flat tire or your battery, we would be to the site within 3 to 5 minutes based on our
Great. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we have those services here yet, right?
It is not here yet on a public level. Some of the dealerships via insurance providers provide it, but on a public level where you can get it, at the tip of your fingers,
great.
It's not available.
That's really great. I think we need it in this region. But again, you've spoken about the accident app. So I'd like to know from you, Oweis, on an average, on a daily basis, how many of these requests do you get on that app?
Well, in Sharjah alone, we have, depending on the time of year, anywhere from 300 to 700 car accidents. And those are just minor accidents that would go through the application.
Right. So now, Oweis, you've promised to be candid here, so I'm just going to ask you, what, according to you, is the state of UAE's roads right now, and what do you think it needs to be done to improve the conditions on the road today?
UAE by far, and I've been over 65 countries, UAE by far has some of the best infrastructure that I've seen worldwide. I think as the RTAs of each emirate are continuing to develop, the element of speed is still the #1 cause of casualties here, second to texting while driving. So that, I think, needs to be looked at more. Dubai and the UAE as a whole, like I said, has the best infrastructure. However, I feel like the roads are too tempting. There is the speeding radars and the heavy fines, but I feel like it's too tempting. Me being a supercar collector, it's really hard for me to get in the car and not rack up 3 to 5 fines every week. So I think that's the only point that if I had a say in it, I would make a recommendation to the RTA. Right.
So we do see that every year the fines are being increased, etc. But do you think that is a solution? That is a good solution, rather?
It's a solution, but keeping in mind that Dubai is not a third world country or a society where people can't afford to pay fines, which is somewhat, I think, a part of the problem. So I think the controls need to be enforced more, whether it be license impounding or vehicle impounding. Something else needs to happen aside from the fines.
Right. And in the UAE, do you know, I'm not sure if you have the numbers, but do you know how many accidents take place every year?
It's a scary number. I don't have the exact number, but based on what we see in Sharjah, between 500 and 700 accidents a day, you're talking millions.
Yes. Oh wow, that's really scary, like you mentioned. But now, just moving on from the app and from Rapid Automotive Solutions, there's another of the automotive sector that you are handling, which is Voltron. Tell us more about Voltron then?
Voltron is actually a partnership. Voltron Automotive in the Middle East is a partnership between myself and Tyrese Gibson,
The actor.
the actor, who's also my best friend, and we came up with the idea of doing this for Dubai because to both of us, Dubai or UAE is very dear to our hearts, and it's about time, ever since Tyrese shot Fast 7 in Fast and Furious 7 in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi, it's been constantly back and forth, but there was no real transactions or businesses that were taking place. So the idea was, how do we create something for Dubai based on Tyrese's reach as a businessman, as a celebrity, with a very creative mind, and this is Dubai. So we said, wait, why don't we design these really cool vehicles? And it's simply a Mercedes van that's outfitted with a Rolls-Royce like interior, and Dubai went crazy over it.
So it's like Pimp My Ride then?
It's the next level to it.
Very interesting. Yeah. So then you deal with the high-end luxury cars then?
Yes, the high-end luxury, we are obviously in that segment by far. We deal with a lot of the high-end luxury car dealerships that you would see on Sheikh Zayed Road in Dubai, and I mean that market overall, I would say, is of the 50% suffering that I mentioned in terms of new car sales, because whether it's new or used, as soon as you talk high end, it now becomes a want, not a need. And in a depressed market, obviously people aren't buying as many wants.
Right.
So it's a segment that I wouldn't tamper with too much in the current market condition.
Right. So in terms of sales, have your figures suffered as well? Like you mentioned, we've seen a financial crisis, especially in the last couple of years. So with regards to the luxury car market, is it something that you've seen go down or a dip in?
The luxury car market as a whole in the Middle East, I can confidently say, suffered 50%. And there's statistics out there to back this up. 50% is conservative.
Right.
But I mean, our model has always been a little different, where we would target strategic alliances and strategic partnerships, whether with the Dubai RTA, the Dubai Taxi, government of Sharjah, where to avoid being a victim of the depressed market.
All right.
That's been our strategy.
Great. So you've just been smart in working around that. So right now, who would you say are your customers then for Voltron?
I would say via the Dubai government, Dubai Taxi is our largest customer, and Dubai Taxi then provides the service to Emirates, to every average hotelier who would like to book the service. The other day I was actually at the Atlantis Hotel on the Palm, and I saw the Voltron pull up, and a couple jumped out speaking really highly of the service and taking selfies in it. It gives them a sense of they're able to relate to how that tier kind of lives and operates. They're taking pictures with the Tyrese monogram in the car, and it's really cool.
All right, wow. So actually, I was at GITEX, and we saw so many of these new launches with regards to RTA and Dubai Police, for example. We saw the helicopter, I think it's called.
Right.
Yeah, the drone taxis, etc. So many of these new gadgets, new vehicles, autonomous vehicles, etc. coming. So are all of these new inventions, emerging technologies going to be competition for you, or are you planning on leveraging out of all of this?
The only competing element to petrol cars is electric vehicles in the next 5 to 10 years. Anything more than that, when we start talking completely autonomous vehicles, the drones, the flying taxis that you saw, and the hyperloops, all that stuff is, I would say, safely 15 to 20 years away from being 100% reliant on. So that being said, there's a lot of opportunity in capitalizing off of the necessities or the requirements of that technology. From a road infrastructure perspective, the roads aren't ready for autonomous cars. Think about it. Everything needs to speak to the autonomous of the vehicle. There are certain elements that, speaking from a hardcore automotive perspective, would force the industry to take a hard turn and go, whether it's electric or autonomous, in a shorter time frame, and that's simply one of the major players like China or the US flipping a switch from a regulatory perspective, saying 50% of all your exports have to be electric, for example. Then all the manufacturers have to kind of strengthen themselves up and go forward with, and that can be the only alarming element to the automotive sector.
But that sort of is expected already, right? Considering the discussions we're having on climate change, etc. We know that electric cars is the future, but do you think it is the present right now?
Well, electric cars in the UAE represent 2.5% of the overall vehicle population, so they're coming. That being said, me and Rafid, I operate 10 BMW i3s, which is 100% electric, to survey accidents. That's never been done before. So you can't avoid the reality of the robots. The robots are here. It's not. This isn't anything that you can kind of look the other way and say, no, it's not going to be in my lifetime. It will be in our generation, just a little further down the line.
Right. And how about the cost efficiency element of it? Electric cars are relatively more expensive than the other cars we see, especially the budget cars we see on the roads. So will that be an element for it to sort of be delayed in coming into the market on a mass level?
With things like solar power and the overall direction that the government is taking to support EVs, electric vehicles, the savings on a vehicle consumption level offsets the higher ticket price when you buy the car. What that means is, instead of spending hundreds of thousands a year on fuel, you no longer have that cost, because the government would subsidize to an extent the power consumption for charging your vehicles.
All right, interesting. Right, so now lastly, I'd just like to ask you, Oweis, if you had to give an outlook for the automotive sector just broadly for the coming 2 years, what would it be? Again, keeping in mind Expo 2020 is on its way, and the just evolving financial structure, the non-dependence of oil, etc. Keeping all of this in mind, where do you think it's heading towards?
The automotive segment is one that may get sick, but it won't die. And I say this all the time. There's more cars on the roads than human beings today, and we require food. Cars require parts and fuel, and to keep them moving. So overall, I would have a very conservative approach towards how I expand my automotive presence, and where we have several lines of defense now before investing in anything automotive related. But that's not just automotive related. That's most industries today in today's market, whether it be real estate or automotives or IT. It's a very sketchy market, I would say, as a whole. Things like Expo 2020 and other excitements in the region definitely play a role in providing a sense of comfort, but I would be conservative. I think we should let 2019 play out and get a more touch and feel situation of the market before we get too excited about the coming year. There's
obviously the conversation about sustainability and what after Expo 2020. So yes, I think we're all on the same page with regards to that. But thank you, Oweis, for joining us here, and thank you for those insights.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching ABTV. We will be back again next week.